Welcome, everybody, to this Monday night session of Soul Smart, where we're going to take 20 minutes, only 20 minutes, to level up your soul education. And we're going to talk tonight about the formula that started it all. For those of you who do not know, the adaptable formula was the formula that Greg created for his wife Donna when she was having extreme challenges with getting over postpartum depression that really amped up and even got more impressive. So, what we're going to be talking about and learning about that is all different ways that this can be used. And we're going to start off by listening to my friend Robin.
G'day everybody, Robin Nelson, and I just wanted to give a quick testimonial for Solle Naturals Adaptables. I've been taking them for, I don't know, probably 3 years now, maybe 4. I take them most of the time. Occasionally I miss a day, and you know what? I feel just like I'm missing something on those days where I haven't taken my adaptables. So, and then I'll be like, I didn't take my adaptables. That's why I'm feeling a little more stressed. I'm an entrepreneur. I have 2 businesses. I'm involved in 3 networking organizations and a couple of civic organizations. So my life is busy. It's crazy. And at times it's very stressful. I can't imagine doing what I do without my adaptables. I know consistency pays off. And I can tell because I don't feel bad. I don't feel bad. But I just feel like I'm not on top of my game if I miss my adaptables. So I am living proof that these work. I highly recommend them if you want to check them out. Talk to Valerie or who invited you. Give them a go. See what you think. Bye.
I love this testimony from my friend Robin, and yes, she is an Aussie. And she is a very, very driven woman. This woman plays down how busy and active that she is. And the reason I like this is because when we're trying to get people to understand all the power that adaptable brings to the table, it is absolutely mind-blowing and amazing what it does for anxiety, for depression, for moods, but it's also extremely powerful for that person that is pushing really, really hard to get lots of things accomplished in the day, their week, their month, their business, their life in general. And so I don't want people to underuse this product, not realizing it can be beneficial in other ways. So, as we look at it, what are some of the key benefits that adaptable brings to the table? Well, we know about stress and how adaptogens are so powerful in dealing with stress because it helps the body to normalize, be more resilient when stress is being thrown at it. Stamina, helping people go the distance, whether it's because they're an athlete, whether it's because they're a mom that's overwhelmed with children all day long, whether it's maybe it's because of an illness they're trying to get through, whatever you need stamina for. Immunity, adaptogens are really great for helping the body to get in alignment and get that immune system balance, whether it's overactive or underactive. And finally, mood. I have watched adaptable change people's lives in days and sometimes hours. There are those rare instances where we have that fast of an impact and you don't forget it. So you just remember that and you tell people, stay with it, trust it, it's going to work. So I did want to go ahead and bring in a couple of testimonies from the other type of direction because we know the power that this formula brings to the table. And these are 3 powerful ones that have to do with um, like a person who's feeling like, and I love this statement in the top, I was an angry rage monster all the time. Adaptable helped me get a grip, help give me time to recognize my triggers, help them self-regulate, help me become a better mom and wife. The next person was saying on days like this with anxiety, they'd normally be in bed, not being able to function. But within 2 hours of taking 4 adaptable, they got half the room completely reorganized, got all the laundry done, cooked scratch meals, got the kids outside for more fun. So again, these are powerful testimonies. And then the last one I've got here is a powerful testimony for a family member calling, and they've gone from extreme depression to over the moon happy. and swears he'll never be without it again. And I happen to know in this instance that it was 3 days that this turnaround happened. So adaptable is an absolutely powerful formula. So let's look at some of the adaptogens in this. Ashwagandha. It helps to re-regulate the thyroid. Now, the thyroid can get out of balance just like any gland or any area of the body can. And so the beauty of ashwagandha is whether the thyroid got out of sync because maybe it's a woman going through menopause or perimenopause or cycles, or maybe it's someone having depression. Regardless, it helps to re-regulate, put the thyroid back into balance where it's ideal for that person. And that's what adaptogens do. Help support the body and help the person level or go back to where is ideal for them. Ashwagandha is known for its support when it comes to nervous exhaustion. In India, they actually have used it in their cancer protocols. It has been historically used to address iron deficient anemia. Ashwagandha, who would have thought that that was so great for that? And then symptoms that come with perimenopause, such as cloudy thinking and muscle pain. Astragalus is immunomodulatory, and keep in mind that all adaptogens have the ability to be immunomodulatory, but some are really well known for it more than others. Astragalus happens to be one of those. And what that means is, again, helping to bring that overactive or underactive immune system back to where it should be. Tonic for stamina, vitality, getting that spark back. And heart tonic. A tonic herb or plant means it's all around going to come in and do support. And then spleen deficiency, the Chinese kind of, in their way of approach for health, they say spleen deficiency is what happens when a person has lost that spark in their eye. They just don't have it. And so, which is how we often know when people don't feel good and when they're depressed. And so that's how they address and point that out. Jalgulin. Now, this is an adaptogen that not that many people are aware of and haven't heard of, but it is really renowned for cardiovascular. And you notice I've got on there multiple things that tie in with this. So supports across the board for cardiovascular. While at the same time, it's helping to regulate blood pressure, helping to get it in more of the ideal range where it should be. And when you get in and look at the power and things with that, it's really pretty amazing how effective it is at that. Yeah, cardioprotective. So there's the difference between support and cardioprotective is going to mean that it helps to protect the heart from stressors, in this case, in that particular, or other types of things that might burden or put pressure on the heart. It's very good at helping to address cholesterol. And these are all things that are backed and historically recognized, and some of them in studies. So addressing cholesterol, immune support, it has very strong antioxidant properties too, which is probably one of the reasons that it's also so outstanding when it comes to working with the heart. Eleuthero, which some people may be familiar with, it's in the same family as Siberian ginseng, but eleuthero is great at enhancing mental acuity. So thought, the ability to articulate, to be able to do critical thinking, to solve challenges and problems. So you can see where that would be very beneficial. It also protects the liver. Liver is one of the hardest working and most overworked organs in the body. When you think about how it deals with stress, how it deals with the emotion of anger, how it deals with toxins, how it works with hormones, and that's just a drop in the bucket for what the liver gets tied to. And so it's helping protect the liver so that it can do a more of an effective job. Eleuthero has very strong antiviral properties, which means that it's going to help support the body in times of illness. It is also known for how it helps improve recovery time for athletes. So we talk about adaptogens and how it supports resilience in the body. Well, one of the things that we often look at is how when we're pushing hard, how we bounce back. So whether that's long-term stress because of thinking, test taking, life in general, or stress for an athlete to pushing themselves. You'll see a lot of endurance athletes like Luthro because they can push hard and then they're going to be able to recover faster. And then Eleuthero is known and documented for the ability of how it decreases side effects of chemo and radiation. That's very important because whenever someone is going through those processes of addressing their health challenges that way, that is very hard on them. And in particular, it's hard on the liver. So you can see where, because this adaptogen helps protect the liver, one of the reasons it is known and or beneficial, and we want to remember that, is because of how chemo and then radiation are going to impact, the body's dealing with that. It's going to impact the liver and the chemicals coming out from the chemo in particular. Now, rhodiola, another adaptogen that a lot of people are familiar with, how it impacts cortisol and helps reduce stress. It's really good for mental and physical performance as well, because we got to think about it. Lots of times our stress or overwhelm or how we're being taxed is not just physically. It is mentally. We can get tired. I remember when my children were young, 6 young children, and, loving what you do, but when you're raising children, it's really kind of a nonstop, and you don't know when you're going to get those breaks. And, especially when they're young and infants, and, we talk about sleep deprivation and things like that. This is where adaptogens really come in powerful. You can see why rhodiola would be important for a young mother or a mother with young children. Let's put it that way. It is also cardioprotective too. So the way that it is helping to protect the heart in challenges, very good and supportive when it comes to cold and flu prevention, stress and fatigue. So not just stress that's coming at you, but that type of ongoing, just you're dragging in that fatigue to where it's harder to bounce back. Depression, and then endurance as well. And I will tell you, this formula, Adaptable, is a formula that I have reached for to help people bounce out of postpartum depression. And I've watched it work very, very quickly. Now we have to remember, when Greg formulated this is what he was looking at, helping support his wife for, was long-time depression that was impacted through pregnancies and delivery. So if you get a chance, go to the Solle Naturals YouTube channel and watch about Donna's story about Adaptable, and you'll get the background on this. So rhodiola, also for an endurance. Again, there's so many different things we do in our life, in everyday life, that we don't realize the difference it makes when we have the ability to go the distance, have the stamina, have the endurance. And now let's listen to Greg as he shares a little bit about this formula.
Adaptable is Solle Naturals' mood-enabling blend, and it has 6 different adaptogens in the formula. And sometimes people will ask us, why did you put 6 adaptogens? Well, I'm going to answer that question today with this bike that's hanging on the wall. It's a 4-seater. And I'm going to come back to that in a second. But first, if you're newer to natural health and herbs, what is an adaptogen? There is a lot of research, surprisingly a lot of research in recent years. They are a unique classification of plants that are metabolic regulators. They provide energy and they provide balance to our body's processes to create energy, everything that our body needs to do and that our mind feels requires energy. And adaptogens are these energy regulators, so they help put the body in a state where it can be at peak efficiency. Now, besides that, there's some particular researchers who published quite a bit on adaptogens, and one of their statements is that adaptogens, because of their nature, they're highly nutritious and they're varied in their nutrients. They also help us avoid damage from the stressors. So they help us manage stressors, both physical and emotional, and avoid the damage that can come from a lot of stress in life. So adaptogens are important, and so why wouldn't we just put one in the formula? Isn't that enough? Ashwagandha or ginseng or rhodiola. These are some plants known for this, astragalus. Well, the reason is this four-seater bike, although in our case we would call it a six-seater because we have 6 adaptogens in Adaptable. You can have a bike and you sit on it and this bike leverages your energy and you can do a lot more than you could do running or walking. You can go further, you can go faster, you can see more when you're on a bike. When you have a 4-seater and 4 people, or let's imagine a 6-seater with Solle Naturals and Adaptable, you have that much more energy. And you also have the unique abilities of each person who might be sitting on this bike, and you bring so much more balance, strength, and energy to your stress management and your overall health. So there's your answer. Why 6 adaptogens in Adaptable? Well, because they're all unique and because they bring more energy, much more in fact. There's an amazing synergy in this balance and this nutrition that your body so much needs in our day, managing all the stressors.
So when you think about just what we've learned about the adaptogens so far, you can see that even though they have a lot of the same underlying foundational impact that they have, they each have slightly different aspects that they cover. So just like Greg's talking about with the bicycle, by bringing in all of those avenues, and we don't always know what is driving or what area of the body's out of balance that might be creating the stress. We can have ideas, but the body does its own thing. And so the power of having 6 adaptogens in here helps to cover so many of the bases to help the body recover and bounce back so much faster. So St. John's wort, no, it's not an adaptogen, but there is literally a very small, minute amount of it in the formula. Because when Greg developed this for his wife with the adaptogens, he found she needed just a little bit more. But when you look at this and the different things that it addresses, you can see what powerful attributes this brings to the formula. Mental burnout, helping to regulate the hormones and how it impacts our cycles and menstruation for a woman. Chronic fatigue, insomnia. So often people can end up with depression where they sleep all the time or where they can't sleep at all. Anxiety, menopause in general, and then lung congestion. So again, very important parts with this. Shazandra. This is another one of the adaptogens. And look at how it addresses things like forgetfulness. Here we've got insomnia again, exhaustion, irritability, vitality, and eyesight. So all around approach and what these formulas are doing for the body. So in Adaptable, it's kind of interesting because when you do a nutritional profile, your adaptogens, they are loaded with things, but because they're not typically used as the same ways in regular herbs, you don't have all the breakdown because people don't sit around and go, I'm going to eat, a salad out of eleuthero and astragalus and schizandra. So, but it's all the other the antioxidants, the flavonoids, the terpenes, all these other different aspects that bring so much power to the table. So it's kind of deceptive when you look at this and think, well, there's not that much in it. This is one of the most powerful formulas we have out there and what it brings to the table. And so when you're looking at this, don't underestimate the power. Cobalt, for instance, this is one of our few formulas that has cobalt in it. Cobalt, I cannot even explain to you the value that this brings to the table when it has to do with B12 in our system. So energy. And remember, that also ties in with mood. So some of these things are unrecognized for the average person for all the benefits it brings to the table. And then finally, I thought this was a great quote to end on. Health is not merely the absence of disease, it is the balance of mind, body, and soul. And so the reason that I wanted to pull this is adaptogens not only have the amazing capacity to support our body physically, but it also comes in and helps support emotionally and mentally, bringing the full picture to the table. This is one of the reasons adaptable is so powerful.